name is Mohammed Shamun. I'm a software developer at Project Tech for Dev. I'll be the moderator for today's call. Today, along with me, we have Antony Justin. Antony Justin is also known as Anto, is a seasoned professional with over 2 decades of experience in digital transformation. Currently, he is serving as a fractional CxO with a focus on social impact. He's part of the Tech for Dev team where he has been involved in various initiatives, including AI-powered interventions and technical audits for organizations like Surge. Along with him, we have Dr. Ojas Krishnani. He's working as a research associate and medical officer at Surge. Ojas has been primarily working in the mental health department, but since last 6 months, he's also been working on AI and tech interventions at Surge. As part of this, he has worked closely with fractional CTO of Tech for Dev. He has dedicated his life toward the mission of Arogya Swaraj, where it means people's health in people's hands. Before moving forward, I'll share a brief agenda of the call. In the next part, we'll hear about what the Fractional CxO program is, and then we'll later hear about from Ojas his experience on working with Tech for Dev and the Fractional CxO program. At the end, we'll have a QA session where you can ask your questions related to how the program is and what are the nuances of this. And if you want, you can also ask questions in between the chat. I'll also encourage people to open their videos, so it definitely feels good when we are able to see people. And with that, over to you, Anto. You're on mute, Anto.
Am I? Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone.
Sorry, just before this, Anto, if you can move yourself to the right side. That's
right side. Okay. Is this fine?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking your time to be with us in this webinar today. So the objective is, and thank you, Shamun, for giving us the introduction. So we want to kind of, can you go to the next slide? Yeah. So first, I just want to kind of take a minute to go through this. So as we were preparing for this webinar, I kind of went to ChatGPT and just said, what are 20 common questions that NGOs ask themselves about technology? And these are some of the questions that ChatGPT threw up, right? So as an exercise, I basically want all of you to just have a look at this list and also to kind of see if any of these questions resonate with you, if there has been, if you are in the process of asking yourself some of these questions now, if you're trying to figure out which ones are there. It'll also be nice if you could just put up on the chat maybe a number 3, 4, 5, or the number of questions that you people have. It'll be good. What normally also happens is that we basically want to say is that technology as such it's a very it's kind of an overarching topic, and which actually has a lot of ramifications in a lot of different sides, and different organizations tend to perceive the whole concept of technology in many different ways. So what has also happened is that we as an organization at Tech for Dev have been in the space of actually looking at tech in the space of social impact and kind of understanding what is the best way to actually go about and actually helping organizations solve this actual problem. A little bit of history about us. So our journey in terms of tech in the social space started as early as 1994 when our founder, Donald Lobo, set up Chintu Gudia Foundation, and he started working with the NGOs and in terms of with the objective of helping them with their technology part. I'm not going to get into this whole aspect, but there has been a lot of learning where we've been working with Groundspring org, and we also had a lot of other international organizations supporting us in terms of this objective of actually helping NGOs to handle tech. Between 2000 to 2015, we had a product called Civic CRM, which is a CRM, again, exclusively in the space of for social impact, and what was based on the open source platforms in order to help them. And all along, right from 1994, there's been a lot of learning for us in terms of an organization, in terms of how NGOs perceive technology. What are the challenges that they have? What are the pitfalls? What are the common questions, right? And today we actually have a more profound sense of the problem as such, and uh, and at the same time we've been able to simplify it and look at it from the following lens. Broadly, we feel that in the non-profit sector, there are four common problems. And it basically starts with something as, say, strategy, right? All of us do strategy. We do program strategy. We do organizational strategy. Many of us have got thematic work where we are very focused on what we do and we have a lot of clarity in how we do it. But one common or very common situation that we see is that tech never seems to be part of an organization's strategy as such. So it is always an addendum, or it's always treated as a good to have, or we will take care of it later kind of a thing, right? So fundamentally, tech is not part of strategy. So this is actually one origin point of problem that we've identified across this non-profit sector. Now, secondly, uh, organizations which have thought of tech as part of their strategy, then look at solutioning it. And the common problems here is what to build. Do we build it ourselves? Do we buy something which is already outside? What if it is not fitting our requirements? Then many organizations naturally pivot towards building and maintaining their own systems. Very often systems don't get built properly because of the way in which it's just built. And then once even those who get to build it then have the problem of maintaining it, hosting it. It ends up becoming a much costlier exercise rather than where they actually thought about to begin with, right? And third, I would say and once you have your solutions in place, the one common I would say main product is data. So we start collecting data, we get program data, we get organizational data, and then comes the issue of how do we actually manage this data itself. Very often we find out that things have not been thought in a structured way. So either organizations do not have a structured uh, way of managing data at all, or if they do, and there are also many cases where data practices are not properly in place. It could be a knowledge aspect, it could be an operational issue, but we find a lot of organizations actually struggling with data itself as a very crucial uh, challenge, I would say, in the tech space. And finally, one common problem which is there all across is people, right? You think of what you want to do, you build what you want to do, then comes the question of who's going to do it. Tech people, I mean, I have to say this because it's about our fraternity. It's like we are hard to find, difficult to retain, considered to be expensive. And there are a lot of times when what happens is that if some of them leave, there is a problem of continuity. And in terms of, systems that are built very often can kind of get derailed because of the absence or the lack of proper human resources to actually run this. And today we feel that these four problems are there. And what can be a way in which we can actually address this is where we actually come to the fCxO program, because we've realized that one common denominator or a common way that organizations can solve this is by having tech leadership, which can actually help NGOs to go towards effective tech adoption. Though this might sound very cliched in the sense that it's a given for everyone, this has a special kind of a viewpoint from the when you talk about NGOs, primarily because uh, it is expensive. So NGOs typically do not have a lot of funds to be able to actually bring in tech leadership who can actually exclusively do this. So the focus has to be a solution which is, one, affordable, and second is also somewhere this leadership can actually work with the NGOs so as to provide uh, sustainability and kind of maintain it going forward, right? So what we've done today as part of the fCxO program is actually our attempt to actually look at how we handle this problem and how we can actually give a solution to the NGOs, right? So today, for people who do not know what a fractional CxO program is, fractional CxO program is where we actually bring in people with decades of tech leadership who are interested in working in the impact space. So typically we enter into engagements with NGOs where we operate as their CTO. We become part of their team for a period of time for anywhere between 3 to 9 months, where we kind of work very closely with the organization. We kind of
मीटिंग में चल रहे हैं लगभग में
right? So where we kind of work very close with the organization in terms of helping them with their tech strategy. And the way in which we actually do that is that when we actually start get engaged with an NGO, we broadly look at bringing about change on 6 fronts, right? The first one is we first of all look at what the organization is trying to achieve through tech, right? We typically call them as big bets. We get a sense of what this organization would like to do and where they perceive the role of technology in doing this. Very often, even there is a role where we have to align NGOs on what can be done, what cannot be done. And there are also cases where we also expand and tell them of maybe uses and potentials which they themselves might not have thought about. Right. So once we actually get a sense of the organization, what is it that they're trying to do and where they think that tech can be a differentiating factor for them, we then look at your internal infrastructure. And when we talk about your internal infrastructure, it talks about not only technologies and softwares for your big bets, but we look at your organization as a whole. How technically mature is your organization, your infrastructure, your internal processes, your tech capability to run systems, the availability of people, etc. And we then come up with something as where we do an assessment of the organization in terms of their ability to function and to be able to leverage and harness technology to its best extent, right? Once we do this, right, and once we have a general sense of how we want to do and what we want to do about it, we then help organizations in organizing their data. Like anywhere, data is what all of us are all about because we need data for to work well. We need data to get more donors to come and give us money for us to do our work. We need data to know of whether our programs are working well, etc. So data ecosystem is something that we help organizations in terms of what are the best ways to organize it. And we even, let me take it a step earlier, right? We start from where to collect it, how to collect it, where to put it, how to store it, and how to actually make the best use of this particular data. Having said this, then we also look at something called as vendor management because very often what comes out is that many of these organizations would need software. They need to buy softwares either from the market or there will be some rare cases where we might even have to build something custom for an organization for their very specific needs. So there we provide leadership in terms of identifying the vendors, making sure that they get the right vendor to do the right work, do hand holding for the NGOs in terms of helping them define their business requirements. Very often we call this, right? It's the problem of the six blind men and the elephant in the room. So where a lot of NGOs know what they want, but they find it difficult to articulate it in a way where a tech person can actually be able to take those requirements and convert it into solutions. So we actually provide hand holding to the NGO in terms of helping them to define the business requirements and then also identify the best vendors for the purpose of actually building these solutions, right? So once we've been able to do that, we also look about sustainability of information itself. So we look at governance of data, privacy rules, just the how secure your systems are, help organizations to go from on-premise implementations of software to maybe cloud hosted solutions, and you know and how we actually do this. And finally, once you know what you want to build, we've helped you to how to build it. We've also addressed as who's going to build it. Then comes the question of who's going to run it, right? And there we typically provide support in terms of capacity building, where we help organizations to identify the right talent. It actually it starts from the point of identifying key roles that organizations need in terms of their tech capacity. We help them in terms of defining the job descriptions for it, and we also kind of act as internal partners in evaluating candidates and making sure that the right people are on board. So the idea is to actually kind of give this 360 view of building a tech ecosystem in an organization as well as empowering them to be able to kind of take this and run this forward. Yeah. So I mean, I'm not able to see if any questions are coming up, but Shamun, if something is coming up, we can actually pick it up in the Q&A session, right? And finally, typically any fCxO engagement kind of broadly has these 6 parts in which we work. There is a inception is where we call this as a kickoff, where based on conversations we have with the NGO leadership, we have identified what are those key wins that we need in order to make this engagement successful. We also put down certain things of the need. We take a commitment from the NGO in terms of somebody who can coordinate with us, availability of people for ideation, and because typical one situation we've seen is that you're all very busy with your work, right? And it becomes very difficult to get people to the table to be able to even discuss on what is to be done. So we kind of make sure that those building blocks are put into place. We identify the gaps, we identify the opportunities that have to be addressed, and we come up with a roadmap. We come up with what is it that we want to do, and how we are going to do it, what is going to happen in months 1, 2, 3, 4. And typically, that this is a very old cliched saying, right? That seeing is believing. So very often for organizations, there is this space where uh, still tech is very fuzzy. There's lots to be done. So people always, it helps if we are able to kind of things start fructifying, right? And they slowly start becoming more structured from a very, and we typically call it as this transition from chaos to structure, right? So towards confidence building and also to kind of help organizations to build momentum, we look at short-term wins, things that can be identified immediately, small tweaks which can solve some very painful problems, some things which can also get us started in the right way. So typical engagements would see places where we would have identified things that can actually help organizations to see how tweaks in tech can actually make a difference, right? Having done this, and once we have a roadmap in association with the NGO, then comes the part where we actually start implementing these ideas. Uh, uh, these implementations fall into 2 categories. Some are cases where we are able to kind of take up certain exercises and take them to completion and do it. Some would be long-term engagements which go over time, where we actually start the implementation. We kind of provide that initial impetus and also make sure that the structure is all in place, and then help organizations to start moving in this direction. And along with this, we also kind of start working in terms of capacity building to be able to achieve these programs parallelly. So you would actually, as things are getting built, as things are getting implemented, organizations would also gradually improve or evolve in their ability to actually be able to build and sustain these systems. And typically, right, any such system, again, we don't want things at a point to become like a headless chicken, in the sense that and it is very important that any such an initiative which is takes a lot of time, resource, and people's effort, that it goes on, it's sustained, and it can be built forward. So typically all fCxO engagements have a transition plan, so where towards the end of the engagement, the last month, we actually help organizations to identify uh, full-time tech leadership. It could be a CTO who comes in, or leadership roles where they'll be able to, one, take the baton from the fractional CxO and run the system. At the same time, also, we would have made sure that the incoming person has the team in place to be able to run it. We don't want the incoming person to tell you that, hey, things are not there, so that I'm not able to work, right? So typically, it would be a place where the incoming CTO has both the tech resources, uh, the tech plan, the clarity, etc., to be able to take this forward. And once this transition happens, we also provide um, support, kind of hand holding for this new leadership as well as the team to actually take it forward, right? So this is in short, I mean, I don't want to take up more time in terms of this definition. This is what we do as part of the fCxO engagement. And today, if you see, we have actually worked with NGOs across almost all the SDGs today. So we've got, I've just put this up here. The purpose is to tell you that what we've seen is that all these organizations and many more, though they distributed on different, I would say, SDGs, there is a lot of commonality. So as fCxOs, we are able to identify core problems which are endemic to the ecosystem itself. It does not matter for which thematic area you're working in or how it is. All of you, there are certain things that are actually common that can actually, where tech can be standardized and can be handled in a particular way. And at the same time, having worked with organizations across different thematic areas, today we also have the experience in our team to help organizations with very thematic tech interventions also. So it's something that, and this is an evolving process. We are also in the process of actually going through this and kind of learning. And one also another learning that we've had over time is that organizations typically it's not just about tech leadership. There are also cases where small POCs need to be done, where some ideas have to be kind of built so that it can help leadership to even be able to visualize what it is happening. So the fractional CxO team at Tech for Dev is now moving into a fractional team model, where it's just not a fractional CxO, but we also have um, tech development capabilities with us. So we have full stack developers also a part of the team. So where we not only provide uh, the leadership that is necessary to be able to do this, but there are cases where we also provide that initial tech capability to actually be able to kind of visualize things in a particular way. Right. So I think I'm at the end of my presentation in terms of the fractional CxO program. I would like to take a pause to see if you have any questions.
There are two questions on chat, Anto. If you want
Yeah,
to take this right now, or you
yeah,
can
sure.
take it.
Maybe we can take 2 minutes and then move to the next part, Shimon.
Yeah, works.
Right. So sorry. Right, right. So actually, the first question about the annual cost, right? Okay. Thanks for bringing this up, Nikita. So the way that it works is that we have a standardized costing that we actually do for NGOs. And the program itself is actually subsidized in the sense that a typical engagement of a fractional CxO program, the way it works is the NGOs normally take care of two-thirds of the cost of the engagement, and there's one-third of the cost is actually where we source through our donors, and and where we actually come in and work on that. So we have multiple models of work. So where we have 16-hour engagements per week. That's a 50% involvement, and then we even do there are cases where we have like a full-time engagement. So I would kind of maybe offline we also be able to kind of have a chat with you in case you have a to kind of understand your requirements better and come back with their number. Broadly, they are standardized, and in the sense that and that's the session that we actually provide. Would that be okay? Right, I can kind of get back to you on that, right? Rajiv Mehta, so we are working on a tech platform and in such. So, Rajiv, it's actually we are here to support and we are there to help organizations in their tech strategy as well as in terms of whatever are the interventions that they have. So, and it's a very good question, right? Because we've also seen it. No two kind of engagements are the same. So we there are a lot of places where we also help organizations with their build. What we might possibly do is that we might take a deep dive into why you are building it in the first place and vis-a-vis what is available in the market. And if there is and once we are able to kind of look at if it is justified and there is a need, we will be able to kind of provide support to you in terms of actually taking it forward. Right. And you said, can you assist us in better manner? And yes, so these are some of the I would say building blocks that you put into organizations, right? In terms of how do you perceive tech requirements? How do you document them? How do you get them built? How do you run them? How do you maintain them? So yes, so the idea is that we should be able to do it, but happy to have a conversation with you in terms of understanding your requirement and kind of looking at how to take this forward.
So one sub-part of that question was also if you would be available on the site as well. So you can answer that as well.
Right. So typically, the fractional CxO's model is virtual in the sense that we kind of work from our locations. But at every engagement, we do have certain structured on-site interventions. So typically at the beginning, at the middle, at the end, where so initially it's more towards ideation and to kind of identify the the contours of what you want. Work happens continuously, but that can be something which is kind of built into the plan as such based on your requirements. So it's like typically the cost of travel to the venue of the client's location and back is actually borne by the NGO. So on that side, this can be worked out. We have certain, of course, we do like there is a beginning, midline, endline kind of a sync that we do, and there are certain engagements where it is more structured, where we have like monthly associations, but it's a very subjective thing, and it kind of based on the contract that we write up with every NGO, right?
If you want to start,
Right.
what is the next step after the session gets over to enter into a discussion with you how to go about everything from where
Okay.
we are to what we can do,
Right.
like that.
Uh,
How do
So,
we take up? Could I share my email ID here?
right,
Or
right.
is there something like that you can get in touch with? Is that right to go ahead
Yeah,
then?
sure, sure. You can actually, so what we'll also do is at the end of a call, we'll also share a form with you. I mean, normally people who are interested can actually fill in this form. And we will reach out to you after that. We can, and then set up a conversation with you to understand you better. What are your requirements, how to do it, and then we can take it forward from there. Right? What time? Okay. Right. And then it says what time, with respect to time spent with an NGO, how will be. So I'm assuming that, so that's what there are different models, right? Where we kind of commit certain number of hours per week to exclusively work with you. And in that we kind of define. So it's also, we get a sense of what you want, the amount of time it will take. And then based on that, we actually kind of structure this periodic engagement. I mean, and this normally we kind of flush it out as part of the conversation that we have.
Got it. Thank you. I put my email ID and telephone number
Sure.
also. Whenever convenient, we'd like to take it up ahead.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir. Right. Thank you for your question. So I think I'm sure some of you would have felt that maybe this sounds like a marketing talk, or like and things are being said in a way. And it's always good to also understand the experiences of people who actually gone through it and to see how things have worked for them. So today we've joined by Dr. Ojas, who's been kind enough to come on board and use this platform to share with you his organization's experience of working with the Fractional CxO program. So over to you, Ojas.
So, hello everyone, and thanks Anto and thanks Shaman for inviting me. So I'll begin. I work at an NGO in central Maharashtra called Search. We live in this campus called Shodhgram, and the organization's name is Society for Education Action and Research in Community Health. It's a NGO that was established by Dr. Rani and Dr. Rafeva, and we have been working in public health since 40 years now. I personally have been associated with Search since 2 years. So Search has this glorious mission of Arogya Swaraj, where the dream is to uh, hand the responsibility of health in people's hands. So people should have the responsibility of their own health in their own hands. So I think it's a beautiful mission, and we have various community level and various hospital level interventions that we work on. I won't go into the depth of every project that Surge has, but this is the background of Surge. Search broadly has two arms, research and service. Like research to create new knowledge and service to like serve the people that we live with, that we want to contribute to. And we have this ideology of acting locally but thinking globally. We believe that the population that we serve is the representation of entire India, entire humanity, and we serve with that approach. We aim to serve, we aim to solve specific problems in healthcare, and that is what search is. You can go to the next slide, Anto. So search so when we engaged with uh, Tech for Dev, I think it was I'm very grateful for this association, and I think it was a very right step at a very right time, because and in the initial conversations we identify four broad areas of focus. First is like the main reason that we entered into this collaboration is we wanted to explore how artificial intelligence can come into the picture of public health. I think that is something which is very unique. And I think I should. So you all saw the presentation of Tech for Dev, and you also saw that what it is when a fractional CTO comes to an organization. But we expected something very different from Tech for Dev. So I think that is very good, and that is very nice of Anto and Tech for Dev to adopt to our needs. So that was definitely one of the focus areas, and that's one of the good things about Tech for Dev, that it adopts to the organization's needs. Uh, the second focus area that we focused on was to improve our tech infrastructure and IT systems. And as Anto has explained to us over these 6 months, these are the building blocks where AI can come in and help us. So if we don't have this basic infrastructure, we can't go into the next step. So Tech4Dev also helped us realize this need and helped us feel this need, because we thought that we would go straight into AI, but these are the essential building blocks to go to that point. Third point is Anto definitely emphasized the importance of data, and Tech4Dev is helping us with that also in data management and systems integration. And fourth is the amazing thing about Tech4Dev is it doesn't just leave us; it helps us build our own capacity to carry these initiatives forward. So I think these were the focus areas, and they are actively involved in also recruiting people from Tech for Search. So I think that is part of the capacity building that they do. So yes, you can go to the next slide. Anto. So, so Tech for Day didn't just help us in doing some specific things, it also helped us develop an ideology with respect to AI and tech. As greatest thinkers of our generation have told us that we should be excited about AI, but we should also be afraid of it. And so this collaboration uh, ended up in coining this term called AI Saksham. So it started with it and it is continuing through this concept. We aim to use technology and AI to empower people and not uh, not do the opposite to them. We don't want to replace jobs. We want to empower people so that they can do it more effectively. And I think we have coined the word AI Saksham for it. We want to make people Saksham and help them achieve our objectives for us. So I think that is also a very great contribution of Tech for Rave to help us reach that point and to help us figure out how to use AI and tech to fit into this philosophy and idea. So this shows how well it merges into the overall philosophy of the organization. And as I said, search has two broad arms, service and research. You can also see how we plan to use AI and tech interventions in operations and knowledge. So that is operations are at various levels. It is at the level of beneficiaries where we are serving them, and it is also at the back end in the in things like grant management, HR system management. So it has a uh, broad range of uh, services that we avail to. So, and the other part is, of course, knowledge. I think we are all excited by the AI's capability of processing large amounts of data and seeing things that humans can't. So, these are the two broad areas of work that we did in these 6 months. And some of these we have been able to execute also in this short amount of time. For example, in automation, we have been able to launch a chatbot which has decreased the need of human time in a project called Nirman. So I'm also a Nirmani. It's a project on youth flourishing that helps young people find their purpose and also go into the field of social change making. So there are a limit. It is one of the most efficient departments that we have. And the problem there was that humans had to do something which was redundant, which can be done easily by automation, and tech for their helped us realize that and do that. So there I think out of these 8 points, we have been able to work on at least six of them, and we have been able to execute something in each of those areas. So that is a great thing. Yeah, and this also emphasizes that we have to like lay the building blocks so that we can go to higher end things like trend discoveries and predictive analysis and outcome predictions. Okay, you can go to the next layer. Yes. So after laying out the uh, entire process, these are the different levels that we work. We do not plan to use AI and tech interventions just at the level of backend. We also do it directly at the level of beneficiaries. We are planning to do that, and we have developed some pilots to effectively do that. Second is there is a huge cadre of healthcare workers that are a part of search. We plan to empower them. And you can see the reflection of the philosophy of AI suction and all of this. We don't just plan to replace people, we plan to empower them. And third is at the back end so that some human time is valuable, human time is freed up to do important things. And fourth is, of course, to look at large data sets and to draw good conclusions out of that. And I won't go into the details of each of the intervention, but these are the four things that we are working with Tech for Dev on. First is mental health. I think we are all very excited by the generative capabilities of AI. We are using that in mental health. We are also trying to do something interesting with cause of death. So we search as a population lab where we maintain records of deaths, lives, and also why do people die? Most people in India do not die at hospitals. And so it is a very important parameter to set a path for programs for search. Like what do we prioritize? So cause of death comes into the picture in that. And we are experiencing a bottleneck where doctors are already burdened with work and they are not able to quote causes of death. So we are planning to use AI and tech interventions to automate that. We have also been trying to do some interesting experiments in the field of substance use where huge amount of evidence uh, is not available for very effective interventions in this area. So we plan to use technology to reach people. And we also are using AI and tech interventions in this field of youth flourishing. And in youth flourishing, there are several levels that we are using AI in. I won't go into the details, but that is an example of how Tech for Dev is adapted to our needs and how we have managed to go into the depth in just a short period of time. They have not just helped us grow horizontally, they have helped us grow vertically. So yes. Anto, can you go to the next slide? Yes, and so uh, Tech for Dev has also helped us figure out this theory of change. Like from the beginning, I'm saying that to use AI at the very highest level, we need to lay the building blocks of it. So this is how we have planned to do it. We plan to use low. So Anto can help me in this. So low tech intensive front end and high tech intensive back end, so that it's easy for people at the front end to use some tools like Glyphic we have been able to use. So it's low in tech aspect in the front end, and it's so AI is sitting at the back end. So we have done stuff like that. You can go to the yes, and then we are trying to integrate these data to form an integrated set of data to answer some of the most important questions. So I also we also had a call with Vinod a few days back, who is the lead of this program. He also told us that NGOs keep on collecting data and only use 40% of it. Tech for Dev also helps us figuring out which data to use and what questions to ask. So if we want to do data integration, if we want to use AI data, then what are the questions that we are trying to ask? And then it helps us. So public health people can be dreamy and we can dream about answering various questions. It helps from a tech perspective that actually what is that we can do, like what are the limitations and where we can hope for higher things. So Tech for Dev has provided us support in figuring out not just how to integrate data, but also why to integrate data and what data to integrate using what tools. And then there is this aspect of data-driven decision making. I think we have been able to do dashboards as well. We will move slowly towards using AI and deep learning, this integrated database. Anto, do you want to add something? This is the theory of change, which is
Right.
conceptualized by Antony based on his experience of working with us.
I think so. Just I mean, you already put it out well, Otis. I just think it's very necessary for organizations to first have this big picture, but then also be able to break them into layers and then build it into it, right? So one common thing that we say is like this is like building. Everyone you should first visualize what you want the building, but then you have to start at the foundation, right? And then slowly layers or flows start coming up. So yeah, in essence. It's important to have this overall strategy of where you want to land, but then also be able to break it into layers and then build on top of each other. Yeah. Back to you, Ojis.
We can go to the next slide, Anto. So these are some snapshots of what we talked about. So front-end tools are very low-tech intensive. Like it's easy to use WhatsApp, and our lay healthcare workers are also able to do it. So and then at the back end, the storage things that we are using are things like BigQuery and Google Cloud, and they are also helping us transition into this cloud space. We have a lot of data that we keep offline in servers and hard drives. So we are also transitioning into the drive and cloud thing. And then there is this example of data visualization, which is built on top of the chatbot that they helped us build. So yes, we can go into the next slide, Anto. And also, if you saw in the previous slide, the tool used was Looker Studio. I think that is an open source tool which we used, and I think it was suggested by Tech for Dev only because open source is something that we can build on that is less costly. So yes, so they've imparted us with this tech philosophy also. I was a tech naive person before this collaboration, and I think I've managed to grasp some important concepts. Yes, we can go to the next slide. I think I'll start with a point that I have not written in this slide, and I was just realizing it when I was talking. I think the most important thing that Tech4Dev has done for search is to help us decrease the potential tech inequality, which is a potential threat to NGOs and to people in general. Like so I'll give you a context. I work in a predominantly tribal district in central Maharashtra, and we are using now AI to build solutions for tribal people who do not even have basic infrastructure like electricity. That is what Tech4Dev has been able to give to the people of Gadchiroli and to search. Like I think it's an amazing program uh, if we want to bridge this inequality, we have to act. And Tech for Date gives us tools to do that. So I think that is the most important learning and most important point of gratitude that I've experienced. We are not dependent on Facebook to build this technology. We are doing it on our own with the help of Tech for Date. So that is something which inspires me to continue working in this area. And one of the most important things to do this was Antony personally adapted very well to the culture and needs of the organization. Search is an organization that runs on very strong values, and Anto adopted very well to it. I think it is difficult for any new employee also to adopt this quickly to the values and needs of the organization as Antoinette. So again, I'm very grateful for that. And I think he became a part of our family too. So as you have been observing, I've been calling him Anto since, and he is a lot older than me also. Not too old, but a bit older.
Thanks for that,
But still I can call him Anto. So that is the level of closeness that we have managed to build. And also, it's a there is a very good support system to a CTO. So it's not just Anto working for search, it's the entire infrastructure of Tech4 they're trying to help us. They also have a very good AI team that helps us bring our insane ideas to actuality. So I think that is something that we won't get even by recruiting a CTO. So that is an amazing advantage that this program offers. They have an entire team, as Anto mentioned, and Anto always directed our ship towards the end. We also have a philosophy begin with an end in mind, and I think Anto already had that, and he could help us navigate our ship in terms of AI and tech intervention towards the end. We have not reached there yet, and I hope we reach there someday. But I think keeping this in mind that we have to go towards the end is very important. Otherwise, tech and AI hype is also that one can deviate from the original path and just focus on the hype thing, and that can become an end. So this reality check also helped us keep tech as a means to some greater end. Yes, we can go to the next slide, and these are some important learnings when we begin. We started with too many interventions too quick. I would suggest you don't do that. You start with a few interventions and take it to the end. Uh, I would also suggest that before actually, I think before or during this collaboration with Tech for Leads, at least start figure out what all tasks do you plan to assign to the city. So, or what all broad themes do you plan to work with as far as tech for dev is concerned. So that will also help you make the most of this engagement. Can you go to the previous? Yes, and also chalk out the objectives very clearly before starting with the engagement, because if the objectives are not well defined, then it will take a long time to just figure that out. So during the initial few days or months, you can figure this out and even think about this before you begin with the engagement. And I don't think anyone should be afraid to experiment. As you would have noticed in our broad themes of work, we are working on broad AI-based experiments. Some will fail, some will work, but I think it's worth it because even one AI or tech intervention it has the potential of reaching masses and has the potential of effectivizing our work to a great extent. So don't be afraid to experiment and assign a person of contact with a clear ideology of organization, because that is the person who will technically work the most closely with the CTO. So that person has to be in alignment of all the values and philosophies of the organization so that you can kill some work at the early stage. Like, so that again goes on to be very careful in assigning the tasks to the CTO. So you can kill some tasks at that earlier stage if this happens. And that person should have the required time for next 6 months to commit to this. Yes. Because it's not just one way, it is a two-way process and it is a collaboration. Yes, you can go to the next slide. I think that is it. So thank you.
Oh, just we have some questions on the chat if we
Okay,
can take them.
I will look at them. I think the cost involved was already answered by Anto, and you can get in touch with Tech for Dev after this call to figure this out. Uh, so we have been engaged with Tech for Dev since last 6 months. Uh, and Muralidhar has asked this question. So we have been engaged with Tech for Dev since last 6 months, and I would admit that a couple of months time was invested in figuring out what to do. As I said, these are all AI based experiments. But if you have figured out what you want to do with this collaboration, 6 months is a good enough time, and you can even extend if you feel it is working well. So search has so we have begun our arrangement from October and now it's April, so it's been 6 months. At what point does the organization become sustainable? I think Anto, this you can answer well because you are muted, Anto.
Hello, Ozas. Hello.
Hello?
Hello,
Yes.
Ozas. Hello, sir.
Yes. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
I
Was
can
this?
hear you. Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
See, the point again, see, the most of the NGOs, mid-size and high-level NGOs know about the AI environment and the involvement is going on. Suppose already you have been engaged with the tech for Dev, and then you have been invested your time. As you mentioned, 6 months is fine. So, what is the cost involvement happen to you in our organization? As an approximately, see, it doesn't mean that each organization sizes and the operations varies to the budget, but to general know the fact, see, this organization invested, this is the environment you already slided. So as a curiosity, no, because I am interested in the health sector and then go for the AA model. What I supposed to do? What is the budget I need to reserve it?
Yeah, yeah,
That is
yeah.
the point. That is the point I
That
am
is a
asking you.
that is a very valid question. Anto, do you want to go ahead and answer this? Because I am not answering because we, I think, had a full-time engagement with Tech4Dev, and I think cost like depends on how much amount that you want the CTO to invest in. So,
Sir, was sir,
and
Right.
Anto
was
can
sir,
answer that.
Yeah.
was
So
sir.
probably, uh, I mean,
Anthony sir,
yeah.
Anthony sir.
Tell me,
Just a
sir.
little bit information, sir.
Yeah, sure, sure.
OSAS is representative on behalf of the search or not?
Sorry.
Mr. OSAS representing on behalf of the organization search or not?
Yeah, he's from Search.
Okay, then he know the process what is happening with the tech for Dev. So he invested 6 months and involved in the part of it program, and he has invested some cost on that part. Let him explain little bit amount that for that. That will be know then that's the answer is over. 2 lakhs, 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs. That's
Right.
enough. So no more discussion. Again, the Anthony sir will come to before me, and then I can talk and I will talk and I may withdraw something. That is going to happen. See, this is the general perception. People
Yeah.
has to understand the common value, minimum value of the amount which we
Right.
are going to investing, and the cost is this much. If I am ready, then go for the tech. If not ready, then it's a budget constraints. NGOs is facing today is completely budget part of it. Technology
So,
is available throughout the world. It's accessible. But the point again, what is the cost involvement? How to go about it? This is the points are coming before us.
right.
Everybody, those are social impact organization wants to work more
I
and
can,
more.
I can,
Yes, sir.
I can come in
Sorry.
here.
Yeah.
So typically, 16-hour per week engagement of the fractional CxO program is anywhere between, I think, around 1.5 lakhs a month. This is a standardized price that we actually do across all NGOs. This cost that we are quoting to you is actually two-thirds of the cost. So, and the rest of the one-third is actually invested by us through our donor organizations that actually come in. And then it changes. It depends on the number of hours. So if somebody is looking for a full-time engagement, then it's kind of double of that. If somebody is looking for, and even these associate engagements itself, right? We tend to pivot after 6 months. So for 6 months, it might be at say 1.5 lakhs a month. Again, this is again it's a ballpark, right? It depends on the way it is actually structured. Going forward, we between with the NGO, we have conversations, and we feel that maybe if it is more of so we gradually reduce the CTO's time, and then we bring in a fractional team's time where it when things are more in the implementation phase. So then there is the extensions where it might be related slightly at a lesser cost in certain cases. But yeah, to kind of answer your question, sir, at 50% engagement per month, it's roughly around 1.5 lakhs a month.
I hope that answers your question. Yes. Great.
Yeah.
Also, I think there are a couple of interesting questions in terms of how does the behavior shift happen for organizations like Search. I think we have been lucky enough to have a director who is like uh, perpetually young. So uh, I think we know the importance of tech, and we know that AI is here to stay. We also know that if we don't act now, we'll again be dependent on these big tech companies who will charge us far more than what we are paying now. So I think that behavior shift has to happen. And I think one more thing that helped was constant communication between Tech for Dev and our leadership, there were some hurdles as to what you are referring to in terms of this behavioral shift. But as soon as they saw some results, some of the results of pilots, they became more adapted to the use of tech and AI things.
And I just want to add something here, right? So it's very important that it's a great question, because very often people resist any change or any tech to use tech unless when it is not clear to them as to what we are trying to do with it, right? So a big part of even bringing in a technology is not just the implementation of the software itself, but having this clear communication across the organization as to why we are doing this, right? Because and very often also what happens is many people have this perception that tech is a watchdog. It's coming to look at what I'm doing, trying to do, and it is here to look at what mistakes I'm making and to punish me, right? But that is not what tech is all about, right? It's also, as OJ's kind of put it in place, it's about saksham, it's about empowering people. So it helps as an organization to look at this communication also. So why are we doing this? How it benefits the organization, how it can, and this not just at an organization level, right? Even at a people level. So I think that is, though it is not necessarily a tech problem to solve, having that communication along with your tech interventions will always help in better adoption, right? So because for adoption to actually work, you need the tech should be right, the communication should be right, and the people should also be right, right? So unless you get all the three together, your the I would say your alwa is not, you won't get the right taste. So you
And
need
I
all these three things to be in
and
place.
I also feel under that how we see tech has to align with the general philosophy of the organization. And that's why this theory of change of the interventions would be different for different organizations. So it says okay. And that involvement of tech would also be at different levels for different organizations. So I think that is okay, and you can start somewhere, and you can't expect everything to change in a day. So you start somewhere, you build on that, and then the shift happens gradually.
Right. I just want to reply to Ruhi. Ruhi, I mean, thank you for your point. It's a very valid kind of observation, right? That uh, it's kind of a very balancing act that you need to do with the area of change, it so that it's not too idealistic and not where you lose your audience, and it's also not too bare minimum that you end up going in a way where it may not necessarily takes you to the bigger picture. So I think it is where I think that's where the experience of the fCxOs were in it, as well as the clarity of thought of the NGO is very important, and it isn't something that we also build in isolation, right? It's a product of multiple iterations of conversations and to understand it. So I think uh, yeah, there's no secret sauce to it, but you have to kind of follow certain guidelines to actually be able to get it right. And yeah, and happy to kind of have a conversation with you on this kind of going forward. Yeah. And I think Banu has asked a question in terms of the cost. So the cost that we have actually quoted here is the cost of the fCxO who comes in to provide this leadership, Mr. Banu. So the actual cost of the tool, of the development, those are subjective. So it depends on, we help you to identify the tools. So normally what Tech for Dev, so we are very committed to open. So we are committed to two fundamental principles. One, we don't like NGOs building software. We think they should be doing their core work, and they should reuse what is already built. One. Second is, we feel that it should be an open source, one from a cost aspect. Second, open source has this great advantage that somebody around the world is building and contributing to the same platform, right? That we can also take at free of cost and use. So we will help you to identify the right tool for you. So, and whatever is the cost of the tool and the cost of development of maybe a external entity, etc., those are to be borne by the NGO. So this cost does not include any of those things. But what it will help you is, as part of the vendor management and outsourcing, we help you to identify the right partner and also help in terms of helping you to define the requirement. So I think, yeah, we are almost we slightly over time too. Thank you. So over to you, Shamun.
All right, I think nothing else. We will get in touch with the people who have shared the contact on chat. Thank you everyone for joining. I have also shared the fCxO program in test form. If somebody is interested, they can just go to the link and fill up the form. All right. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you just for this great session. We'll get back to you.
Yeah, thank you. And all the best to all of you who are trying to figure out your tech journeys. All the best. Thank you. Bye.